We now can resume as we now have quorum. Item number 39, 268 Weston Road. It's an application for to legalize and maintain the existing one-story rear addition. There are 3 variances, and all we have is an order to comply. We have no communication from neighbors unless there's some last-minute stuff. No communication from city departments. Not from planning, not from transportation, not from urban forestry. So there's nothing other than this one-story rear addition, and the speaker is Jim Tishy. No other speakers registered. Mr. Tishy, welcome.
Oh, hello. My first name is Yeri. It's like George.
Okay.
It's not Jim, it's Yeri, just for the record.
Okay.
So we do have a situation that the owners bought the house, and there was an open permit from 1998. And in 2019, they tried to close the permit.
Wow.
And it turned out that there was, in addition to the existing house, there was a one-story, 12 feet by 12 feet or 3.6 meters by 3.6 meters, extra room added to it. And now after 22 years,
This is
we are
after
trying to
20 years, you're just here to legalize something that was done by a previous owner. Very straightforward. Yeah. We have no communication from anyone other than the order to comply. So let's see if committee members have any questions or if someone's prepared to make a motion. Do we have audio?
Yeah, I'm prepared to make a motion. I find that the application is minor in nature and consistent with the 4 tests. Move that we accept the application.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Reddick. All seconder for that? Oh, we got Mr. Palmer back. Okay, Mr. Taylor, all in favor? Unanimous approval.
Thank you very much.
I don't see him. Neil, can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry. I think because it's late in the afternoon, everyone's logging on in my neighborhood.
Okay, so question is, first of all, are you in favor of this application?
Okay, I didn't hear this application at all. I don't know which one we're on. I heard yes. All of 83 27th Street.
Yes.
And I was in favor of that.
Okay.
And then I got booted out.
Okay, so we can mark it was a 4-0. Mr. Palmer was present, heard the application. I saw it just go off just as we were in the motion. So that motion carries 4-0. And this one will mark him absent. That carries 3-0 with 1 absent. Okay. So,
thank you very much.
Yuri, you have your approval. Thank you for correcting my pronunciation. Item number 40 is 37 Yorkview Drive. And it's an application to maintain the existing rear deck. I think we have a couple of rear deck maintains in a row here to end off the day. So this one is, there are 2 variances on this one. Lot coverage and, something's happening here. Lot coverage, something wrong. And we have 13 support letters, whatever it is. But I'm having trouble. My 2 pages are merging together. Yeah, so we have 2. Yeah, it won't let me. There's something wrong with my, I can't seem to go to the second page of the notice. It's like frozen, it won't. Okay, the applicant on this application is Lena Rodriguez. 37 Yorkview.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome. Very straightforward application is to maintain a deck, and you have 2 variances. We have no communication from city staff or neighbors.
Yes.
So let's just see if committee members have any questions. I see you have 13 letters of support, so you've done your homework, and you've submitted a map as well. Unfortunately, it's not.
Thank you.
Suddenly, I'm not being able to see anything here. I have my bookmark, I'm pressing, and nothing happens. Anyway, does anyone have any questions for the applicant to maintain this existing rear deck with 13 letters of support and 2 variances? I can't see what they are because something's happened to my computer.
Yeah, it's actually the
Oh, yeah.
lot coverage of 33, and we're asking for 34.96%. And the other variance is the soft landscaping, that's be 50%. And we have opposed percent of landscaping.
Okay, and you have 13 letters of support.
Landscaping, that's be 50%.
Okay, we have no communication from any city departments with any concerns. So let's see if committee members have any questions for you or if someone's ready to make a motion. Thank you. Yeah, so your deficiency in rear yard landscaping is 2% or about 5 square meters, and your coverage is coverage is over by almost 2%, and that's all you have. And this is an existing deck. Did your client buy the property with this deck, or they just built it without a permit, not realizing? Ma'am?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's
Okay, committee members, any questions for the agent, or would someone ready to bring them up?
no, the deck,
Hello?
yeah, they were actually too small. And then when they rebuilt the deck,
Okay, so they had it with the deck,
yes,
they rebuilt it, they made it bigger, they didn't realize they needed to get a permit, or they didn't have, that there was a variance, so it's to legalize that. So, committee members, any further questions, or is someone ready to make a motion?
I'll move for approval. Variances requested are minor in nature and meet the 4 tests in the Planning Act.
Thank you, yeah, pretty minor. Seconder for that motion by Mr. Palmer. Mr. Taylor? Thank you.
I'll second, and I wish to award the runner-up for minor variance of the day.
Okay. All in favor, unanimous approval. Okay. Thank you. Okay, our next application is item number 41, 30 Stock Avenue. Again, it's to construct a 2nd-story addition, a new front porch and a rear deck. There are 2 variances, and we have nothing whatsoever, no comments from neighbors or from city departments, other than urban forestry condition number 2. And the applicant on this application is the agent Amir Roba.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm here.
Hello.
Hi.
Sir, very straightforward application. I don't think we need a presentation. You have 2 variances. One is 0.2 side wall height, and the other is 0.7 of a meter in the soffit height. So I don't believe we need a presentation. Let's just see if committee members have any questions for you, if someone's ready to make a motion. And it is subject to urban forestry condition number 2. Any questions for the applicant? The applicant like to add anything?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I'm prepared to make a motion.
Sure, I find the request. Go for it.
Okay, I find the requested variance are minor in nature and meet the 4 tests. A motion to approve the application subject to urban forestry number 1.
Thank you, Ms.
Condition.
Reddick. Number 2, condition 2.
Corrected, number 2.
Seconder for that motion? Mr. Taylor, all in favor? Unanimous approval.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roba. Item number 42 is 66 the WESTWAY. It's an application to legalize and maintain a rear yard deck. We're running a special on those today. And there's 1 variance. The existing platform encroaches 5.16 meters into the required rear yard setback. And Again, that's, we have a order to comply. We have applicant submission. From the property behind, they say that this affects their privacy. And I don't believe we have a speaker, but I had a question here. I was going to ask the neighbor if the deck was complied with the privacy be similarly affected. That was my note. So we don't have any neighbors here. We do have a neighbor, I believe, at 33 West Royal, and the applicant is the owner at 66 the Westway, Tashi Donda.
Dondo.
Hello, sir.
Yes, so respected chairman and board members, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm a little bit nervous since I've never spoken before. We bought this property in 2019, and we moved in with my family and 2 kids. And in 2020, January, February, we thought to decide to build a deck in the back so that the family could enjoy. And then at the time, there was a very old deck which was falling apart, and there was animal infestation, raccoons like that. So we broke it, and we requested a contractor to rebuild a bigger deck so that animals won't infest. And he didn't advise us, and we didn't know that we would require a permit for that. And so we built the deck. We gave him the advance to build it in June, but then, the pandemic started in February, March, and we were stuck at home. And I was also kind of let go from my work. And I did in between this cancel the construction, but my builder was given advance, so I couldn't back out also from that. Otherwise, I would lose the money too. So we ended up anyway building it, and we thought, since we can't go out in the pandemic, we might as well enjoy in the backyard. And so we built it not knowing until the inspector came and said we would require a permit. So I filed all the requirement with maps and blueprint and survey, and even paid the penalty and everything. And I did show the city inspector that the land in my area, my land sits higher than most of the neighbors in the side and in the back. So, I mean, if you can see in the picture I provided, there was no fence between our neighbor and the back neighbor. I built that fence so that we both could have some privacy. So, I mean, I didn't understand that. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that, I needed a permit for that. So I'm so sorry, and I apologize for my mistake. And if I'm allowed to keep the deck, I'll be happy. That's all I can say for now.
We have the picture. So the issue is the deck is how big is the deck in terms of, I see it in square feet. I see it in square meters here, but it says it goes back 5 meters further back than it should.
I think so, sir.
So that's this picture you've shown us. This is the picture.
No, that was the picture for the fence to show that if you look at the second fence behind is our neighbor's fence,
yes,
which is a full fence. So my land is higher. I just wanted to show that my land is higher. So, I mean, even if there was no deck, we would by default see each other. Yes. Her house is a 2-story and my house is only a bungalow, and our roof is all the same height. So you can imagine the height of my land, which sits on a higher land.
Yes. And
so there's nothing I can do for privacy. I'll have to build a 20-foot wall to cover everything.
They're talking about privacy, but you're right. The variance is for the size or the depth of how far deep it goes in the back. So that was why I had a note to ask that neighbor. And I see we have another neighbor. Would their privacy not be the same even if it wasn't as deep? They may say no. So The issue is the
Yeah.
deck is affects the rear yard setback by, it goes 5 meters further than it should into the rear yard. Is that my understanding? That's this application?
But yeah, and I think that there's also a stair over there. It's not only the deck, because there's a side stairs that goes down,
yes.
which is a part of the deck,
It's a
right?
raised deck, right? So, okay, we had one neighbor that wrote in at 37 West Royal, and we have the neighbor at 33 West Royal here virtually to make a presentation. So why don't we hear from that neighbor, and then you'll have a chance to respond.
Okay,
Meantime,
thank you.
does anyone have any questions for Mr. Dondup before we move to the next speaker?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, the next speaker won't be joining us. It's just the applicant.
Okay, so we do not have that speaker. We do have the letter from the other neighbor, a house or two away, that says, my house is behind, the existing platform is interfering with my privacy. I cannot sit in my backyard without feeling I am exposed. My family cannot enjoy doing any activities. The platform is high to the extent it's level with my bedroom, and I don't have privacy. Now you have, I saw that privacy fence in front of their fence. I don't know if that's the particular neighbor that you showed us in that picture at 37 or at 33. But my question is whether they'd still have that privacy concern because you're higher, even if your deck was not as far back on the lot. But now
True.
I can't ask anyone that. Other than,
But the city inspector did come and inspect, and he agreed that the land was much higher. So
Yes.
even if I built a 20-foot fence, there's other than that, there's nothing that I can do about that privacy.
right, no, but I'm saying if your deck is 4.83 meters by 3.35, if it wasn't as deep into the lot, that's why you need to come here, because you went too deep into the lot. You're too close to the rear yard setback. So I'm just wondering if it was less, if you cut it back, I don't know how big it would be, or whether that would
No, it wouldn't affect,
improve
Mr.
the
Chairman.
neighbor's situation. So let's see if the committee members have any questions for you on this. And then we don't have anyone else. We have thank you for your submission explaining the history of how this came to be, and we have the opposition letter. Committee members, any questions for the applicant, or is we ready for a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'm satisfied the variance meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act, and I move approval without conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Seconded for Mr. Taylor's motion. Oh, you both, Sophia got her hand up just a split second faster. So seconder, Sophia, all in favor? You have unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Donda.
you.
Enjoy your deck.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, board members.
Okay, have a good evening. Okay, next we have 2 more applications. 43 is 34 Superior Avenue. This is an application to construct a 2nd-story addition above the existing dwelling and to construct a 2nd-story addition above the existing front porch. And there are 6 variances. We have Urban Forestry requesting addition number 2. We have 6 variances. We have a planning condition of approval to be constructed as illustrated on the architectural plans as relates to FSI, and transportation has comments and advice. Advising that Superior Avenue does not have authorized on-street parking permits. For information, we only have one speaker, Ian Cunha, as agent. Mr. Cunha, welcome.
Thank you so much. Nice being last.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Yes.
I just wanted to bring up to the committee that the FSI is as high as it is because it counts the basement.
Okay.
In this case, because there's more of the basement above the finished grade,
Yes.
it's part of the floor space index.
Okay.
4 of the variances before us are existing variances that would have been there no matter what. In regards to transportation, I did speak to them. I told them that the space between the 2 houses is only 7 feet wide. And for that reason, no one is using the back of the property for parking purposes because you just can't get back there. In regards to forestry, we do have hired an arborist, and we will be applying to the forestry for their clearance.
Okay. And we have no one in opposition. As you say, most of the variances where you're doing a second-story addition and addition exist anyway. And again, you're okay with the planning, recommended planning condition. So let's see if anyone has any questions for you or if someone's ready to weigh in with a motion.
Mr. Chair, I find the variances satisfy the 4 tests under the Planning Act, and I move approval subject to urban forestry condition number 2 and the condition of the requested by the planning department.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Seconder for Mr. Taylor's motion. Sophia Reddick, all in favor? You have unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr. Cunha.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, our last application, item number 44, 24 Jackson Avenue. This is an application was deferred from the February 23rd, 2021 hearing. A couple of places I noticed it said 2020, but it's 2021. We have 6 variances. Transportation has no objection. We have planning condition of approval that appears to be something that was negotiated. We'll hear that from Mr. Milzen. Because there are specific numbers to planning is recommending reducing the FSI to 0.70 from 0.76. And to be constructed in accordance as illustrated on the site plan as relates to the lot coverage and including the rear deck. That was the staff report that just recently arrived. It should be part of our supplemental package. And it explains the history of the site. Mr. Milzen.
Hello, Mr. Chair and members of the committee.
Hello,
You've had a very long day.
Yeah, you have the dubious honor of being the last application.
So I will try to be as brief as I can. To begin with, I can tell you that I have no objection to the 2 conditions that the planning department is recommending. I do have a wrinkle to that, which I want to share with you. But in brief, the proposal is to build a 2-story addition at the rear of the house and partially at the south side lot line, very much consistent with other structures in the neighborhood when they build additions. The front of the house will be not altered in any way, so the character of the neighborhood is being maintained. The side yard setback and eave setback on the north side is so that the addition is in line with the existing house, which is an original house from the 1930s. There is a slight variance required for the dwelling depth. I believe that is quite minor. The height of the building is going to be consistent with the existing house. The reason why this was deferred was the homeowners wanted to have a slight alteration to the design of the new side entrance, which resulted in slightly more coverage and slightly more GFA. Unfortunately, when those revised plans went to the planning examiner or the building examiner, they suddenly included a mechanical room in the attic space as habitable GFA, which it is not. It's going to be bisected by roof trusses, so there's no way anybody would be able to live there. And that's why we have no objection at all to the planning department's requirements. The GFA did go up by 1.2 square meters over the original application. So if you do move condition number 2 from the planning department, or rather it's condition number 1 related to the FSI, I would ask that you refer to it as 0.70, but in meters, please refer to it as 244.6 square meters, because that is actually what we are requesting.
Yeah, we have to know that. 244.6.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for the agent, or we don't have any? So we have the 2 planning conditions. I believe that's all we have. Yeah, transportation is no objection. So what was the end of the day? Did they actually count the mechanical space in the attic as part of that 0.7, or has that been excluded now?
No, that's what took it up to 0.76.
I see. So they've agreed that if you don't count that, so it's actually not being made smaller, you've gotten them to agree, which sounds reasonable to me, that they not count this mechanical space in the attic as habitable space. So you've been able to reduce the FSI without actually taking anything out. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Any questions for Mr. Milzen, or are we ready for a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'm satisfied that the application meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act, and I move approval of the revised proposal with a change to variance 2 to the gross floor area reference being 244.6 meters squared as opposed to 243.3. And subject to the planning department condition about the proposed development to be constructed as illustrated on the site plan submitted December 4th, 2020.
Does it say February 23rd, 2021? That's the new memo, staff report dated March the 8th.
I'm sorry, I'm not looking at that.
You had
I think there were 2 additional information pieces that came out on this one.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the first piece.
Yeah, this is the latest one, Mr. Carvalino, the one dated March the 8th at the reference to the site plan submitted February 23rd, 2021.
Yes, Mr. Chair, March 8th report does cite February 23rd, 2021.
Yep. Okay,
Okay, I'm okay to modify my motion to reflect that, Mr. Chair.
great. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Seconder for Mr. Taylor's motion. Mr. Palmer, all in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr. Milzen, in your last application of the day. So who wants to make a motion to adjourn?
Thank you. Have a good rest.
Motion to adjourn? Who made the motion to adjourn? Do we care? Okay. 6:17, according to my watch. 6:14, actually.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thanks. Good night.
See you at the next one.
Yep.
Yep. Good night.
Goodbye,
Stay safe,
everyone.
Be happy,
Yeah.
everyone.
See you all next time.
I hope Stan's feeling better.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, have a good night.
Night all.
bye-bye.